You are watching a special one-hour commitment 2014 edition of KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
In June, we broke a story about why Pilger cannot dig new basements. And this is where a monster tornado tore through and destroyed much of the town. Basements saved many people's lives. So why no basements now? Flood maps, flood insurance, and local ordinances. Pilger is in the floodplain, put there after many of the homes were built.
But Congressman Lee Terry says that needs a second look.
FEMA has to come back and realize that a town like Pilger, there's ways to prevent the flooding that would be more conducive to that town and more sensitive to the people that live there.
And Terry argues homeowners in Tornado Alley should get some exemptions when it comes to basements and floodplain regulations.
And Congressman Terry joins us this morning. Congressman, any changes on that front?
Well, unfortunately, there hasn't been. Our office has had some discussions with some of the FEMA folks about how we can change that rule and regulation, if there's exemptions that occur that we just don't know, and the answers were no. That was rules that were set up when the changes in the flood laws made several years ago. So we're still working. The reality is we'll probably end up having to write a bill. We're trying to work through it to see if we can just get an exemption, but we're working up the food chain in FEMA right now.
So obviously a lot of bills to come. What is your top priority? If you were heading back to Washington, what do you want to get done?
Well, I think we need to put our economy on a path where we can really be competitive in a global economy. And there's several points to that, but number one is energy. Because frankly, when you look at the job creation that's occurring now, it's energy. And so that was one of the reasons I ran for Congress, was to become energy independent. And a lot of it's already occurring now. Worked a lot. You mentioned, you teased about wind energy,
right?
But my goals there are build an economy based on energy, where you have affordable and reliable energy. That means for both generating electricity and for automobile fuel, for transportation fuels, and both of them require diversity. Now, whether it's electrical generation, where you're going to use a variety of renewable fuels, but still have fossil fuels. You're not going to get away from gasoline and diesel in toto. So building back our economy, tax code absolutely has to be changed. Those are two of the top priorities. If we do some of these, I've got several other points of my economic plan that I'll save for the end.
Gotcha. Well, let me say, you're on the House Committee on Energy and Commerce.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some of your voting records. You voted yes to drilling for oil on the continental shelf, yes to bar the EPA from regulating greenhouse gases, no on enforcing limits on CO2 global warming pollution, yes for tax credits for renewable electricity, no on tax incentives for renewable energy, which would harm oil and gas industry. When I read that, it looks to me like you're straddling both sides. You're trying to status quo of the oil and gas industries while you're also looking at wind and other renewables.
Well, I think it's a false premise here to say that it's renewables versus fuel, oil and natural gas. You need a diverse portfolio, so I support all of them. So some of those bills have been really meant to make it more difficult, if not impossible, to use the fossil fuels that are so plentiful, and actually the most important stimulation to our economy right now in the United States. And those are important. But I see my vision for the future on renewable fuels is not only biofuels, but in electrical generation, that we do have more wind and solar. I probably have more confidence in solar as a future source of energy because it can be a distributive power, meaning you can put it on solar panels on KETV's new building and generate a portion of your own electricity. If every new building incorporates that renewable source of sun, it will require less electrical generation.
So as a senior leader in Congress, with these hopes for energy, what have you done in your terms to make these things happen?
Well, actually, in the last energy bills, which was about 5 or 6 years ago, I was one of the proponents in a variety of establishing wind and micro turbines, as well as solar power, and incenting solar power by way of research and development, not manufacturing, which was the mistake the Obama administration made with Solyndra. You don't underwrite the manufacturing, you underwrite and help with the research and development, which brings down the cost of it. And then some of the bills that I actually wrote this year, and then teamed up with Sam Graves from Missouri, he's the chairman of the subcommittee on transportation, is to move natural gas to transportation, so we have more diversity there. We're burning off. I went to western North Dakota last summer with my energy subcommittee, and seeing the amount of natural gas flared off. They burn off a third of the natural gas because it's just not affordable to capture it. If we had more demand, like using it in heavy trucks, fleets, and straight trucks, then you're going to incent the infrastructure to build out, then more consumers. And that's how you build up your diversity.
Okay. Well, there's still plenty more to come in a special edition of KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Up next, we're going to talk a little more about the budget and the deficit. Stick around.